Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to share with you the 359 story, the 359 spirit, and let's start here. This is an iconic photo in sports history. It's an iconic moment in human history. 1954, Oxford, England, Roger Bannister set out to do the impossible. At the time, running a mile in less than 4 minutes was scientifically proven, medically accepted that the human body couldn't do it. Despite that, Bannister not only set out to do it, he broke the record. He ran a mile in less than 4 minutes. He ran it in 3:59. What I love about the story is when Bannister broke that barrier, the time barrier, yes, but much more meaningful, the psychological barrier. When he showed the impossible was indeed possible, it took a month for another runner to do it, and within a decade, a high schooler from the state of Kansas did the impossible. Roger Bannister, the runner, went on to become Dr. Roger Bannister, the neurologist. A neurologist studies what our brains tell our bodies. What we tell ourselves we can do is incredibly significant. And what I've learned is whether you think you can or think you can't, you're usually right. Several years ago, I was approaching a milestone birthday. I was approaching my 40th birthday. And I wanted to do something significant, some cool statement to Father Time. So I set this somewhat silly stretch goal. There are goals and there are stretch goals. So I set this stretch goal to be able to dunk a basketball again. It had been a good decade. It had been more than a good decade since I had played above the rim, but I thought, what a cool statement to Father Time that you're not done with me yet. So I worked really hard. My birthday rolled around the end of April, and I wasn't even close. Wasn't even close, could barely touch the rim. And I thought, you know what? I'm turning 40. I shouldn't be dunking a basketball. So I left that behind me. 8 months later, I'm sitting in the kitchen, one of those days, and my wife walks in the kitchen, my wife Claire, and she says the words that no husband and father ever want to hear. I've scheduled a photographer to take a family picture today. I was like, oh dear, today? Seriously? And she gave me this look that's, kind of look. And I got it. I got it immediately. I keep a journal. I have for years. I don't write it every day, but I'm going to give you a little context behind that moment. This is from January 7th, 2014. We enjoyed Claire's birthday yesterday, cold as can be, high of 5 degrees. School was out, so Christmas break extended by 1 more day. The boys slept up in the playroom watching Auburn versus Florida State in the last BCS title game. Sis got moved to the big classroom. After work, we went to Allen County to watch a high school basketball game. Ben dropped his hot dog twice. I don't know if you have one of those kids, accidents just seem to find them. That's our Benjamin. The next entry is January 13th, 2014. I believe I was just told I have cancer. An odd flow of emotions. And how thin the margin is. And how quickly life can change. How you go from worrying about football games and classroom assignments and your kid dropping hot dogs on the floor to all of a sudden not knowing if you're going to live to see Christmas. To not knowing if you're going to get to be a husband again. Get to be a father again. So when you're a young husband of 4 young children and you get diagnosed with cancer, right before you start chemotherapy, your wife does the most practical thing. She schedules a photographer to take a family picture. I hope you never find yourself in this position, smiling for what you're eerily aware could be your last family photo. We knew at that moment. We hadn't told the kids yet. When you spend a lot of time at the cancer center, you learn honesty trades at a premium. It's not a trophy for everyone kind of place. There's no sugarcoating things. And so later that afternoon, we sat those 3 boys down and had one of the hardest conversations you want to have with your kids. Natalie was 4. She took her nap, thankfully too young to be involved in the discussion. And when we told the boys what was going on, our oldest, much wiser than his years, cut right to the chase. Dad, does this mean you're going to die? I said, I don't know, son. The doctors say we have a really good chance, but I don't know for sure. 6 months of chemotherapy, 17 rounds of radiation, 227 days of cancer treatment at the Vanderbilt Cancer Center. One clean PET scan later, no more cancer. I came out of that experience with a different perspective, a very different perspective on what I could do and what I couldn't do, and I set that goal to dunk that basketball again. This time it's not a goal, it's not a stretch goal, it's my impossible, it's my 359. The first time I did it, I didn't tell anybody. If you want a surefire way to make sure you don't accomplish a goal, keep it a secret. This time we changed tactics. Something magical happens when you're setting goals and it goes from between your ears to on paper. I don't know what it is. And if you want to almost guarantee the likelihood of accomplishing a goal, find the person you trust and respect most in this world and tell them exactly what you're going to do. And that's where I started. I told Claire, this is what I'm going to do. We reached out to a personal friend who's a personal trainer to get her expertise. And then I reached out to 3 special friends. There's a group of 4 of us. We've gotten together for years. In December of every year, we lay out our goals for the year. And we prioritize them, our spiritual goals, our family goals, our personal goals, and our professional goals. And every month we get together. We call it our accountability group. 3 hours around a table, updating, supporting, encouraging, challenging on how we're doing. So now I've got them locked in. And if you've ever worked really hard at something, if you've ever really pursued something really difficult, you know there are periods of progress, and then there are times of just stubborn resistance, where you work and you work and you work and you just can't get over the hump. I got to where I could touch the rim, I could dunk a tennis ball, I could dunk a volleyball, but I just couldn't get that basketball over the rim. I had 2 weeks to my birthday. So I reached out to a special friend of mine, Donald Smith, he works at Western Kentucky University. I said, Donald, I have this vision in my mind. I'm going to take a pass from Big Red, I'm going to dribble it once, and I'm going to flush it. Can you get me on the court? And he said, absolutely. He said, we'll get students there, they'll make signs, it'll be for a great photo op. And I said, thanks, but I don't need that. This one's for me. This is an intrinsic motivation, not extrinsic motivation. Now, college floor, the floor at Diddle Arena is made of wood, which gives you a little more spring, and it's elevated, which gives you a lot more spring. So I knew I needed 1, maybe 2 inches. Sometimes you work really hard at something. Sometimes you work really smart at something. You put it together and you have something special. So we set a date for 2 weeks, a self-imposed sense of urgency. 2 weeks roll around. We pull up to Diddle Arena on a beautiful Sunday afternoon, had some friends join us, the kids came. We walk out into this big arena, empty arena. We stretch, we get loose, we play a little bit, and then I go for it. Wait for it. From Big Red, exactly as I envisioned. I got the dunk, but you know what? More than that, I got that mindset, that 359 spirit, that holy cow. If I can do now what I proved to myself was impossible 2 years earlier after going through cancer, what can't I do?